Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak makes his first visit to the White House in 5 years. Hello, everyone. I'm George Thomas. My co-anchor Wendy Griffith is on vacation. President Mubarak met with President Obama to discuss peace in the Middle East. He had stayed away from the United States after a falling out with President Bush over Egyptian human rights issues. But that topic is not going away. While the two leaders met at the White House, Egyptian Christians were outside protesting the persecution of the Egyptian church. Dale Hurd has that story.
They came to protest the persecution of Coptic Christians in Egypt by Muslims and by Hosni Mubarak's own government. Egyptian Christians want the White House to pressure Cairo to stop the attacks on Christians, prosecute anti-Christian violence committed by Muslims, and stop the abduction, rape, and forced Islamization of Coptic teenage girls. During Mubarak's 28-year rule, there have been thousands of violent attacks against Egyptian Christians. Caroline Doss of the International Coptic Federation.
The Coptic people are the indigenous people of Egypt, and unfortunately they're horribly underrepresented in the government and on a regular basis persecuted by Islamic extremists, and that extremism and that persecution is unfortunately tolerated by the Egyptian government.
Egypt's Christians cannot build churches without government permission, and Muslims face persecution if they convert to Christianity. The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom's Dwight Bashir tells CBN News anti-Christian violence has increased.
We've seen an upsurge in recent weeks and months, unfortunately, in different parts of the country. And these really come from various extremist elements from small villages where the Muslim population rises up against a small Christian building, not even a clearly marked house of worship. And one of the things that we've seen for years is the lack of protection of these kinds of places of worship.
Hillary Rodham Clinton met with Mubarak, and the State Department says they discussed, quote, human rights and democracy in Egypt. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And Gary Lane, our chief international correspondent, is with me here. You've made several trips to Egypt. You've worked very closely with the Egyptian church. There's an aspect in Dale's piece that he mentioned, the forced abduction of Coptic girls. What's going on here?
George, I've been reporting about that for over 10 years now, and you think it would be getting better. It's getting much worse. What is happening now with these young girls, Muslim guys will go into Christian villages, and they're good looking, they have a little bit of money, and they'll ask a girl out, so they'll say to her, look, let's have dinner, or I'll buy you an outfit. And she'll go. These are nominal Christians for the most part. She'll go, and then they take them back to their apartment, and they either drug them or lure them into doing things sexual. Right now, I've been told what's happening is they're videotaping those and then extorting them and with their families. As you know, in the Middle East, that's shameful to have something like that happen.
And my understanding is that just this past month, almost 4 Christian girls were abducted, or Coptic girls were abducted. Does the media in Egypt report this as an abduction?
No, they don't report that. They just say boyfriend, girlfriend. But what they do is they try to convince them then to become Muslims, and then they'll marry them. And I can't tell you how many families I've talked to that has happened to them, and the authorities don't work with them. I talked to one man, the authorities slapped him in the face and said, what do you want us to do, put a guard out front of your house 24 hours a day? They often side with the Muslims over the Christians.
One of the other aspects that you have been reporting over the years is the issue of churches. Christians getting the opportunity to build their own church. Give us an update on that.
Well, the churches, you still have to have permission from the government to build a church or even repair a toilet in your church or add on to your church. Yes. It used to be you had to talk to the president, get permission from the president. A couple years ago, they changed the law, and now you have to get approval from the governor of the state that you're in, or at least the local officials. And what's happening, there's one case right now where a Coptic priest has a fatwa against him because he was holding or wanted to hold services in his home, and he had to go and talk to local leaders, Muslims, and they said, no, we don't want to have that here in this village.
As you know, Gary, Egypt plays a very, very important role, not just in the region, but also this administration's efforts to bring peace to the region. What role has Egypt played? What role will they play in the future?
Well, as you know, George, in 1979, Egypt signed a peace treaty with Israel. So it's 30 years old now. Egypt has had a relationship with Israel. The only other Arab country that has one is Jordan, of course. But Egypt was the first. Sadat paid his life for that. That's right. And so Egypt is seen as a moderator or a moderating force in the Middle East that can influence both the Arabs and the Israelis. What the Obama administration wants Mubarak to do is influence the Israelis on the settlements. But Mubarak said, look, this peace process is way beyond just the settlements. We need to talk about more than that. He has influence with the Palestinians. He's been trying to get Hamas and Fatah together. And so the administration is still looking to Mubarak in Egypt to kind of broker a peace process.
Okay, terrific. The man keeping an eye on all this stuff. Gary Lane, thank you for your insights.